language arts teacher and author of the trilogy The Lucia Chronicles. Today's video is about my first writers conference. I just got back a couple days ago from the Midwest Writers Workshop in Muncie, Indiana. And it's been going on for a very long time. I believe about 40 years or more or so is how long the conference has been going on. And I want to give you the top 3 things I learned from attending my first writers conference. Let me preface this by saying that I chose this conference because it was closer to home and I could drive and not need to fly. I also chose this conference because it was less expensive than one I was considering in New York City, which I also find big cities, very overwhelming, which was another choice that drove me to choose the Midwest Writers Workshop. The Midwest Writers Workshop is capped off at about 220 people or so. It supposedly is a workshop that Veronica Roth, author of Divergent, also attended at one point in her life. So I'd like to share with you the 3 things that I learned. The first thing that I learned is that writers are very funny. Personally, I think I'm funny. I don't think that necessarily comes across in these videos because I'm still a little video shy, but I spent a lot of the time laughing. There was a lot of authors, and I'm probably going to butcher people's names, so I'm going to just apologize in advance. But the first day there, Thursday, I had an intensive where it was about 5 hours or so with one particular faculty member, and I happened to be with Krista Desir. Kind of gave a French spin to her name there. And she is a YA author of some pretty dark stuff, but she is hilarious, and I spent a lot of time laughing. Also, Martha Brockenrow is also very funny, and I attended a session of hers about bad grammar making good writing, and later found out she is the inventor of National Grammar Day, and also makes questions for Cranium and Trivial Pursuit, which I thought was a really cool fun fact. And literary agent Janet Reed is also very hilarious, and she had I missed her keynote because I had to drive back home, but she gave a very funny presentation the one morning. So authors are very funny and writers are funny. They have great senses of humor, and so it was a lot of fun. The second thing that I learned is that people want to help you. Whether it was working on a pitch, which I never had pitched an agent before or an editor, and this was my first time. So people want to help you. People want to see you succeed. It's not an us versus them or a competition to be better than someone else. I had numerous conversations with fellow attendees and faculty members, and people want to see other people succeed, because if you help them succeed, hopefully they'll help you succeed. Or if someone's breaking through a barrier in the writing community, then they're paving the way for someone else. So everyone was very ready and willing to help one another, and I thought that was great, and it gave a real sense of camaraderie. And I wasn't sure what to expect because I kind of had this impression that other writers were pretentious, and that was just from some webinars that I've attended and things like that online, and it was not like that at all. And I don't know if it was the small nature of the workshop. One of the things they say in the literature about the workshop is that they pride themselves on their hospitality, and that's exactly how I felt. It felt very supportive, and it was kind of wonderful. The third thing that I realized is that the things that scare you the most are the things that you're going to find most rewarding. And I'm talking about a few things. The first thing is, like I said, I was really nervous. I don't want to say I don't do well in large groups, because once I'm introduced and the ice is broken, I'm a very social person. But there was a lot of unknowns, and unknown factors, things that are beyond my control, tend to make me anxious. So I was really anxious about talking to other people. I really don't know how to network because I've never really had to. As a teacher, you just apply, at least in Ohio, you apply for jobs online and then get cold called for an interview, and you go through various rounds. So there's really not a networking kind of thing involved like you would if you were in a more business-oriented career. I didn't know what to expect at the hotel. My dad came on this trip with me and my dog, so we stayed 30 minutes away. So I didn't know what to expect there. And I just didn't know what to expect at Ball State University and the Alumni Center where the workshop was held, or how other authors and other writers are going to be. There was just like a lot of unknowns that made me anxious. But obviously I had a really positive experience, so it was very rewarding. The second thing I'm referring to is pitching an editor or an agent is totally nerve-wracking, and that was a lot of what was discussed in the Pitching 101 session, was just how nervous you are. And to be honest, I walked in there, we introduced ourselves to each other, and granted it was a long time coming in for rewrites with a lot of help from faculty members. Summer and Mark, I'm talking to you specifically for helping me. But it was just really nerve-wracking, and you get in and your nerves, for me, kind of faded away. And we exchanged pleasantries, and she said, okay, are you ready to read me your pitch? And so I said, yeah. Then she gave me some positive feedback, and we exchanged information, and it was over. I mean, you only get 5 minutes total, and that's including like walking in and sitting down and getting up to allow the next person to come in. And it just was over so fast, and I was kind of like, wow, I was so nervous like all day just for that, and it was really rewarding to not only experience it, but to feel successful at it and to have the support that made me feel successful. I was kind of on cloud nine afterwards, and I just felt really good about myself and about my writing. And again, I think that goes into the support that I received during this workshop. So those are the three things that I learned from this workshop. 1, writers are funny, in case you didn't know. 2, that it's a very, very supportive community. And 3, that sometimes the most scary things are also the most rewarding things. And I'm really looking forward to attending the workshop next year. I think I'm actually going to stay in Muncie next year because of my location of where I stayed, and because there were people with me and my dog with me. I kind of skipped out on some things to spend time with my family. But overall, I think it was awesome, and I'm really looking forward to the things I'll learn next year. And another thing that I really think speaks to this workshop is that a lot of the attendees that I encountered were multi-time attendees that come back more than once, and they said that it was always, there were always different speakers, and there were always really interesting topics. And I think that really speaks to the value of the Midwest Writers Workshop. So that's what I learned at my first Writers Conference. I'm wrapping up Camp NaNoWriMo. It ends the 31st. I'm about 47,000 words in. Got a little behind for the conference. Usually I try to overshoot the 50,000. And I think I'll only be a little over 50,000. And to actually finish the novel, I'll have to do some writing next week. And that's about where I'm at right now. So you can find me using the hashtags #amwriting or hashtag Camp NaNoWriMo right now. And in the meanwhile, happy reading and happy writing.